Good morning. I'm Barry Bryson, and I want to thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. We're continuing our study of the Gospel of Matthew today, and we're beginning in chapter 8, and I'm going to read the first 4 verses of chapter 8. This is the event that happened immediately after the giving of the delivery of the Sermon on the Mount, as Jesus is coming down from the mountain, which we read in the very first line of this passage. When he came down from the mountain, great crowds followed him. And behold, a leper came to him, knelt before him, saying, Lord, if you will, you can make me clean. And Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus said to him, See that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a proof to them. The first thing that happens to Jesus following the delivery of the Sermon on the Mount is that he's confronted with someone in need. This leper, did he actually have Hansen's disease, which is what we call leprosy? It's the modern name that we give to leprosy. It's very hard to transmit. We do have treatment for it now, but not until the last century or so did we have real treatment for Hansen's disease. It's not very common, and it's not easy to transmit. But for most of human history, it was one of the most feared diseases to receive. And in a time when there wasn't a lot of medical information or even accurate taxonomy for things that humans were suffering, anything that was dermatological was assumed to be leprosy until it cleared up. And that's one of the reasons you go and give proof to the priest. And he clears you. He says, yes, this person is clean, ritually clean. The law made clear what this leper did. It was not lawful. He's not to be in this close proximity to people. But there are crowds here. And he evidently brings himself that close to the crowds to identify himself as a leper. One would assume that he's gone a long time without being healed, that this man is a leper indeed. And the way he phrases his request to Jesus demonstrates his great faith in Jesus' power and his own respect for Jesus' sovereignty. If you will, if this is what you want to do, you can make me clean. I know you can do this. I'm not questioning this. I'm not asking if you can. I'm asking you, will you? And I yield to your decision. This is ultimately your choice to do or to not do. And Jesus answers him back in kind. I love how he does that. He does it so many times where he phrases his response in the same vocabulary of the request. It creates a great solidarity, a great oneness, a great sharing. I guess the biblical word I would use would be koinonia, between Jesus and the person who has come to him. I am willing, he says, be cleansed. And then he reaches out and touches him, which he did not have to do. We know that Jesus can heal over great distances. He's about to heal over great distances. If we doubted that, we'll find out in just the next episode. And the next episode really gives a texture back to this story, reflects back this different hue, because we see that Jesus doesn't have to touch anybody to heal them, but he touches the leper. And that touch is so important to the story as well. It's important for the people who were close by, the crowds who were close by, to see that Jesus was not afraid to touch the man, and the man truly was clean. And how important was it to the man that Jesus reached out and touched him? What kind of acceptance did that communicate? Oneness, compassion. I can't imagine the sensation that he felt when Jesus reached out and touched him. You know, in Revelation chapter 21, we're told that in the end, you know, God will wipe away every tear from our eyes. That's a very tactile moment. It's a moment of touch. You can't, we've all seen someone do this, you know. We've done it ourselves. You pick up a child and they're crying and you wipe their tear away from their eye. I don't know that we could imagine a more compassionate, tender, affectionate gesture. And it's what we will all receive from God himself. That man that day must have had something of the sensation we're all going to enjoy. Then Jesus says, don't tell anybody, but go and show yourself to the priest. This is not an attempt by Jesus to keep this hush-hush. There's no way it can be hush-hush. There's a crowd there. He's telling him, keep the law, observe the law. The law of Moses says you're clean when the priest says you're clean. So go show yourself to the priest. You do that first before you do anything else, which right after he gives the Sermon on the Mount, when he makes clear, I didn't come to break the law, but to fulfill the law, we see Jesus quite meticulous about law keeping as soon as he's coming down from the mountain. That's important too. Okay. We're going to talk about another healing miracle next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 Good Minutes with the Word.